Top 15 Disturbing Truths About Basic Survival Skills Everyone Learns Wrong. Number 1. The fire starting lie. You've probably seen it in movies. Someone furiously rubbing two sticks together, sweat pouring off their face, until a magical puff of smoke turns into roaring flame. Congratulations. You've just entered the Hall of Survival Myths that will get you killed. Because unless you're secretly a friction wizard or have arms powered by regret and vengeance, you're not starting a fire like that anytime soon. Here's the truth. Rubbing sticks together can start a fire, but only under conditions so specific you'd think nature was playing a cruel joke. The wood has to be dry, not kind of dry desert dry. You need the right combo of hardness versus softness. And oh yeah, you need a tinder bundle that's fluffier than your aunt's cat after a thunderstorm. Even then, the whole process feels like trying to microwave a steak with candlelight. Modern survival instructors actually recommend alternatives like ferro rods, lighters, or gas waterproof matches. Because in real survival scenarios, you don't want your fire starting technique to look like bad performance art. So yeah, next time someone tells you to just rub some sticks together, maybe rub your forehead instead and hope the friction ignites some common sense. Number 2. Drinking your own pee. Look, it's the classic desperate move. You're stranded, dehydrated, hallucinating, and somewhere deep in your crisis brain, a little voice whispers, "You've seen Bear Grylls do it. Maybe it's time to drink the pee." Here's the medically disturbing reality. Your urine is a cocktail of waste products your body was literally trying to get rid of. Stuff like urea, excess salts, and other charming toxins that say, "Hi, I wasn't invited to stay in your bloodstream." So when you drink it, you're basically sending your kidneys a hate letter. Dear organs, do that whole cleaning thing again, but harder this time. In extreme cases, we're talking desert island with no coconuts. Extreme pee might buy you a few more hours of consciousness. But it's not sterile, it's not hydrating long-term, and it's absolutely not a go-to strategy unless you enjoy accelerating kidney damage. The smarter choice? Learn how to build a solar still. The dumber choice? Thinking pee is nature's Gatorade. Number 3. Eating raw plants. Safe. You see a juicy green leaf in the wild. You're hungry. It looks like something you'd throw in a smoothie, so naturally you eat it. And then nature responds with diarrhea. Violent, fire hose-style diarrhea. Here's the thing, unlike grocery store kale, wild plants aren't curated by your local produce hipster. Many contain defense chemicals that evolved specifically to make mammals regret their lunch choices. Saponins, alkaloids, cyanogenic glycosides. Sounds like a chemistry final, right? That's because it is. Plants don't want to be eaten, and they will throw hands or molecules if you try. Plus, a lot of wild edibles only become safe after cooking, which breaks down the not-so-edible bits. Raw fiddleheads, toxic. Raw elderberries, slightly murdery. So unless you're 100% sure you're munching on a wild blueberry and not its evil doppelganger, maybe don't treat the forest like a buffet. Because your digestive system has absolutely zero loyalty when things get sketchy. Number 4. Making a shelter anywhere. The rain is coming. You need a shelter. You spot a low point surrounded by bushes. It looks cozy, like nature built a hug for you. You set up camp, and then the sky opens, and your temporary love nest becomes a mud jacuzzi of regrets. Here's what most survival guides quietly forget to mention. Low spots equals water collection zone. That depression in the ground is nature's sink, and during rainfall, you're basically volunteering to be a sponge. Plus, dense vegetation may look warm and fuzzy, but it's often hiding bugs, snakes, and maybe a surprise wasp brave. Experienced survivalists know to seek slightly elevated, well-drained terrain, ideally with natural windbreaks. That way, your shelter doesn't become a flood zone, and you're not waking up with ants in your nostrils. So yes, make a shelter, just not in nature's designated bathtub of doom. Number 5. The follow the river trap. You're lost in the woods. You remember the age-old advice. Just follow a river. It'll lead to civilization. So you do. And several sweaty hours later, you're either cliffside next to an angry waterfall or slogging through knee-deep swamp sludge while mosquitoes treat your skin like a tasting menu. Here's the deal. Rivers can lead to populated areas, but they're not curated by travel agencies. They meander like a toddler with a kazoo, and their terrain is often less navigable than whatever mess you just came from. Flood zones, steep banks, dense brush rivers don't care about your plan. And if it's a remote area, the river might just loop you into even deeper wilderness. Survival experts recommend orienting by landmarks, staying put if you're truly lost, and making noise or visible signals. Unless you're in Alaska and literally chasing salmon to a lodge, blindly following water is basically nature's version of breadcrumb gaslighting. Number 6. Cold water wakes you up. You fall into icy water. You think, I've seen this in movies. Just shake it off. Get moving. Stay awake. Adrenaline kicks in. You feel unstoppable. Then your body hits stage 2 hypothermia, and suddenly you're the human equivalent of a frozen bagel. Cold water immersion is terrifyingly effective at shutting your body down. Even a few minutes below 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Celsius, and your muscles can lock up like bad software. Breathing becomes erratic, blood flow drops, and if you're still thinking clearly, congrats, you're one of the lucky few. The real survival trick is counterintuitive. Instead of thrashing around, float and conserve energy. Use any clothing to trap warmth and get help ASAP. And no, jumping into a lake because it's refreshing isn't edgy. It's a preview of your obituary headline. Number 7. Eating snow for hydration. It's cold. There's snow everywhere. You're thirsty. So you scoop some into your mouth, and now your core temperature is having an existential crisis. Snow might be water, but eating it when your body's already cold is like trying to rehydrate with ice cubes during a fever. Your internal furnace has to work overtime to melt and warm the snow, which speeds up hypothermia and makes dehydration worse. It's the survival version of taking out a loan to pay off another loan. The better move? Melt snow first using body heat, sun, or a heat source. Warm water hydrates, doesn't sabotage your temperature regulation, and doesn't make your mouth feel like a freezer burn commercial. Number 8. Using moss to find north. Someone once told you moss grows on the north side of trees, and it kinda does, sometimes. But also surprise, it grows wherever it's damp, shady, and feeling vibey. Which means south, east, west, upside down, inside a dream sequence, anywhere. Navigation by moss is like asking a squirrel for directions. It might gesture vaguely in the right direction, but mostly you'll be confused and slightly betrayed. Real survival navigation involves compasses, sun position, or dead reckoning, not playing moss roulette in the forest. Also, if you're relying on moss to find your way, maybe reconsider why you're in a survival situation without a backup plan, because nature's GPS has serious accuracy issues. Number 9. Building a fire inside a cave. You've found shelter in an epic stone cave that looks like nature's Airbnb. You gather sticks, pile up tinder, spark a flame, and bask in your primal glory. Until, of course, smoke fills the cave like it's auditioning for a fog machine convention, and you're coughing harder than a Victorian poet with consumption. Here's the overlooked reality. Caves don't always ventilate well. That magical stone ceiling above you, it traps smoke like a possessive ex. And if you're deep in, with no airflow, you're not warming up, you're creating a CO2 chamber. The result? Headaches, confusion, unconsciousness, and eventually the kind of tragic ending that makes survival instructors sigh dramatically. If you must build a fire near a cave, do it outside the entrance with airflow at your back. Or better yet, build a fire reflector to bounce heat inside without playing smoke roulette. Remember, smoky death isn't atmospheric, it's just bad planning. Number 10. You'll know if water's bad. Imagine this. You find a stream. It's crystal clear, babbling like a Disney soundtrack. You take a sip, convinced purity looks like bottled water from an overpriced cafe. Spoiler, it doesn't. Most parasites, bacteria, and protozoa are completely invisible. Giardia, Cryptosporidium, and even E. coli, they don't make water murky. They just wait to ambush your intestines like microscopic ninjas. And the symptoms? Oh, just days of gastrointestinal betrayal, complete with explosive regret and existential despair. Boil, filter, or purify everything. Doesn't matter if it looks clean, if it came from the ground and didn't pass through a faucet, treat it like a suspicious smoothie. Because in survival situations, water doesn't announce it's toxic. It just becomes a lesson in microbiology through your colon. Number 11. Sucking out snake venom. A snake bites. Your friend gasps. You channel your interaction hero, grab their limb, and suck the wound like it owes you rent. Let's be clear. That move isn't brave. It's medically useless. Also weird, the venom is already circulating through the bloodstream within seconds. Trying to suck it out is like trying to unspill coffee with a straw. Worse, if you have open cuts in your mouth, congrats. You just invited venom to a party in both circulatory systems. Modern survival science says, immobilize the limb, keep the victim calm, and get professional treatment. Tourniquets? Also bad. Sucking venom? Double bad. The only thing you're extracting is dignity. So next time you feel heroic, maybe just call for help and avoid oral venom strategies. Number 12. Sleeping on the ground, like a cool wilderness icon. You see it in survival shows someone lays down on bare earth, wrapped in a thin blanket, staring heroically at the stars like they're auditioning for a rugged toothpaste commercial. But unless you want to wake up as a human popsicle, ground sleeping is a thermodynamic betrayal. Here's the science. The ground absorbs and radiates heat way faster than your body can compensate. When you sleep directly on it, heat leaches from you like you insulted gravity and it's getting revenge. Even in mild temps, that slow heat drain can lead to hypothermia, stiffness, and a very awkward morning of trying to stand upright like a busted mannequin. Veteran survivalists use insulation, pine boughs, grass, or even your backpack, anything to keep a buffer between you and nature's personal cooling system. Otherwise, your night under the stars turns into an unintentional experiment in thermal regret. Number 13. Starting a fire with gasoline. You maniac. So you're cold, desperate, and somewhere in your adrenaline-fueled brain, a little voice suggests, hey, fire plus gasoline, what could go wrong? Answer, everything. The fire. Your eyebrows. That tree. Your entire survival plan in a glorious mushroom cloud of, oops. Gasoline doesn't burn slowly, it explodes. The fumes alone can ignite before the liquid even hits the flame. And unless you're operating a controlled burn with firefighter credentials, this is how people turn warming up into emergency skin grafts. Better options? Solid fuel tablets, alcohol-based starters, or actual fire-building skills. Because survival isn't about mimicking a Michael Bay movie. It's about staying alive without starring in your own blooper reel. Number 14. Trusting animals to guide you. Some survival myths claim you should watch animals to find food or safe terrain. That squirrel just munched a berry so you can too, right? Wrong. Squirrels also eat fungi that can literally melt your insides. So unless your digestive system has tiny woodland enzymes, don't follow their menu plan. Same with birds, bugs, and mammals. Their biology is tuned differently. What fuels a deer might hospitalize you. And animals travel weird paths, not because they're leading you to water, but because they're chasing scents, territory, or existential vibes. The real skill is learning what's safe for humans. Trust your training, not nature's questionable Yelp reviews. Number 15. Improvising a weapon. Safety. You've seen it, the dramatic moment when someone whittles a spear, straps a knife to a stick, or duct tapes rocks together like they're entering the Hunger Games. It feels empowering. Like the forest just gave you a license to stab. But here's the issue. Survival isn't combat, and wielding a janky weapon doesn't actually make you safe. Most threats in the wild are environmental. Dehydration, cold, injury. And trying to fight off predators with a handcrafted porcupine of doom? That's a fast track to becoming the third act twist in a cautionary tale. Also, wild animals don't usually confront humans unless provoked, so looking like a hostile piñata isn't helping. Focus on shelter, navigation, and calm decision-making. Not amateur armory cosplay.